Alrighty, welcome back to the next class in the Viewpoint series, Enlightened Perception for a Peaceful Future. And today is a big one. I'm going to tell you today that you and I don't know very much. I know we like to think we know a lot, but the truth is we don't know that much about anything. Not me, not you, and not even some of the smartest people in the news and in government. So hold on tight, let me tell you why. Most humans most of us believe that we know what we're talking about. Most of us believe that we know a lot or even something about what we're talking about. And for many of us, we are fairly sure about it. Now, really, as we've spoken before, all of us have our own viewpoint, our own perspective. But in the last video, I told you that we have the territory and we have the map about the territory. And we can't include all of the information in the map. We just can't. Now, what would it be like if we actually realized that we didn't have all the information? Okay, maybe we act like we've got 80% of the information in our opinion, but what would it be like if I told you that you had 10% of the information or 15% of the information? It'd be pretty different, right? We'd probably be open to learning. We'd be open to hearing more. If we were having a political debate and I said, well, I only really know 10% of this information, I'd be open to learning more. Whereas if I believed I knew 100% of the information, you can imagine how confident I'd be and how difficult it would be for me to change my opinion. Now, this is what general semantics says. When we look at reality, there are literally billions of bits of information. When you look at something or any situation, there's so much information coming at you. There's light, there's color, there's movement. And we need to filter that situation through our senses, through our eyes and our ears and our sense of smell. So already there's millions of points of information, and just as human beings, we can't focus on all of it at the same time. It's already getting filtered through our nervous system, and then that shows up inside of us through color, through sense, through sound. But all of us experience things differently. You can have the same people at the same situation and they'll experience it differently. They experience color differently. They experience what they notice differently. Now, this is what general semantics says. We abstract information. What does abstraction mean? It means that when we're confronted with literally all of this information, there's so much of it that as a human being, we can only abstract certain bits of information. We can only notice certain things. We only focus on certain points. You could be listening to a debate, listening to a conversation with so many different points, and maybe you would just abstract one thing or one observation. Who knows what's going on? But as human beings, what we do is we take incredibly complex situations and we abstract and we pull maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 observations, and that's what abstracting is. We abstract certain points. Now, everyone is doing it. We can't take on all the information at any one point. Our head would explode. So all of us are going through this process of abstraction. We're deciding, well, firstly, we're automatically filtering what we think is important and what we don't think is important, but then we are focusing on specific things, and that process of abstraction is happening all the time. It's a process that happens as human beings, and that's why you can have two people look at the same thing and have two totally different views. Both of them think that one thing is important and something else isn't important, and they abstract that process of making sense of reality. Now, as I said before, we have to abstract. We have to do that as human beings. We can't comprehend all the information at the same time, but it's important that we realize that we're abstracting. And again, most people don't realize that. Most people think that what they abstract is the truth. They think that what they see is the truth, and it isn't all the truth. It might be part of the truth, but you can see there's this process of abstracting. So there is nothing wrong with abstracting. It's normal for us to do it. The problem is when we become sure of ourselves, when we say this is true, this is reality, and they're two very different things. So for example, let's look at my phone. Right, this is some kind of plastic blob. Now, I could ask you, what is this? And you might tell me, it's a phone. Okay, that's one word, but okay, that's a word we've been given. I could now tell you, okay, I'd like you to talk to me. Tell me what this is for a minute. Describe this to me for a minute, and suddenly you would include a lot more information. It wouldn't just be a phone. You talk to me about the material it's made of. You talk to me about the technology. I could then say, talk to me about this for 10 minutes. If I was chatting to a scientist or an engineer, I would have more information. You see, so we're always abstracting. We could say this is just one word. We could talk about it for a minute, 10 minutes. There's always more to say. It's the same with anything. I could go to one person, describe this is my wallet. Maybe they'd describe it one way, they use certain language. Maybe they'd abstract certain information about it. I could then go and chat to somebody else. Maybe they'd give me a different description. They would see it in a different way, right? This is something that all human beings do. We all do it. And when you get two people arguing in politics, or when you get journalists arguing, what none of them are acknowledging is that they're all abstracting. It's something we're all doing. We never say all there is to know about anything. Think about that for a minute. Talking about yourself. Maybe you could tell someone about yourself in 30 seconds. Maybe you could take 5 minutes. Maybe you could take 10 minutes. Maybe you could take a day. There's always more to say. So what does that mean? It means we are always choosing what's important, what's not. We're always deleting or not including. Now, the more information you say, the more rich your understanding of that person is. I could tell you, my name's Tom and I'm a therapist. Okay, well, that tells you a little bit. But if I told you about myself for the next hour, you'd have a deeper understanding of who I am. If you're looking at a situation, a political situation, somebody could just give you a summary, but that information would be ignoring everything. And the more you talk about it, the more detailed it becomes. Now, most of the way that we talk about things and the way we see things is very simplistic. There's always more to say and there's always more to know. And most of the time, we only know a tiny slither about something. It might just be totally wrong. But just because as human beings we abstract and we just have this process where we're only extracting certain bits of information, it means that we really do not know truly what's going on. We get a sense of it. Look at the different areas of your life. Look at the emotional dynamics when you're in a relationship with your partner. You know things from your perspective, but do you know about their world? Do you know how they see reality? Do you know about the bigger picture? Do you know what the unconscious dynamics are in your relationship and how they unfold? No. When we look at political parties and political arguments, are we looking at the nuances of either side? When you read these journalist articles, are they really including more information, or are they only abstracting the information that they deem important? The truth is, general semantics tells us, and it's clear, that when we talk about things, we don't include everything. We delete, ignore certain information. So we will never say, a lot of the time, we don't know everything, but you know there are people out there that just think they know everything about everything, and they're sure of themselves. The word is adamant. And in cognitive behavioral therapy and mindfulness, there's a word or a phrase called reserved judgment. And comes from Stoic philosophy as well. Reserved judgment, we don't know everything. Like, that's just smart behavior. We don't know everything. In actual fact, we only know a tiny little thing. So personally, I'm always concerned when people feel sure that they know everything that's going on. And if they do see that, I'm interested to know how they are abstracting. What information are they including? What do they think is important? And what are they ignoring? What aren't they talking about? General semantics suggest that we use a silent etc. when we are talking about anything. What that means is that whatever I say, there is always more information to know. And as human beings, you know, we love to use few words, small labels, small judgments. As human beings, we love to label people, and we love to use these very simple, short words. And you see it everywhere. You see it in the news. You see it in the press, on social media. These labels and judgments we say about each other. And these labels, they only tell a tiny part of the story. There's so much more to know. There's so much more to learn. Look at politics. Look in the UK at Brexit and the Remainers and the Brexiteers. Look at how they talked about each other. Look about the talking points, the slogans, the titles, all those things that only focus on a tiny thing. It's a ridiculous abstraction process while ignoring all the information, ignoring like a load of stuff. So I guess what I'm saying is this process of abstracting is something we're always doing as human beings, and it's important to become present to how you abstract. So let's bring this back to the polarization issue and conflict and peace. I'd like you to consider how this concept, this principle affects how you think. Think about relationships, for example. What's it like to realize that when you have issues with your partner, you are abstracting? You're only looking at certain information and you're ignoring others. Either you can't see, you're not present to it, but you don't know everything. How do you think that might help or affect your relationships? Let's look at political viewpoints. We see it in the UK with Brexit. We see it in America with Trump and the Republicans and the Democrats. We see it in Israel between the Palestinians and the Israelis. We see it everywhere. Now, how would it be like if everyone realized, well, you know what? I don't know everything and I'm only seeing a small aspect of everything that can be said about this. What would that be like? How would that shift the conversation? What would that be like if both sides said, well, we don't know everything. Let's see if we can find out more. You'd have a different type of conversation. So this is something we're going to be looking at throughout the process. And the point is that we can't know everything, and whatever we say, there's always more to say. Okay, guys, that's all for today. I will catch you later. Have a good one.